boom bum ba boom bum. But I am
it's the oish of that preceded the tzimtzum. The brightness of the oish with tzimtzum, the Ein Sof element.
And even though you say that at every level Or has this,
That's not mispashit, it's not misgala.
no Or Atzmi I'm talking about.
Or atzmi is not misgala.
So so we're talking about the Ors that Mishpashit, that is its brightness is transferred. So how is that different from the Or Atzmi that is present wherever Or is, no matter where it is in the stuff?
The etzem oir is not misgala.
That which we say is at every level of Or is not Miskala. This Etzema Or. And this Or now that we're saying that is the Or Mispashit is revealed.
Right.
Is he going to explain what type of Or that is, what that means to the Kav?
The way he explained it's the oish lifnei tzimtzum.
Understood. But we're not going to...
All right. But let's just continue. Everything will come in place. Okay. We will start on the line. It's basically maybe a line or two after where we started yesterday, but we already discussed on the line that begins L'gabe ho'er shelamayla me'haparsa. Kufa Dalad in the middle of the top section. So we are now distinguishing between the effect of the parsa and the effect of the tzimtzum. And what we're saying is that even though the tzimtzum is much more complete, much more complete removal of the oil than the parsa. Parsa, there is not a real removal of the oil, but because it doesn't need to, because the oil that precedes the parsa, the oil of Hatzilus, is already oil that relates to oilumus, to oilum. It's not the essence, like we explained yesterday. Rotzain versus Chochmah. So Chochmah, which is Madrege of Atzilus, is capable of being drawn into Hishtalshalos, into Bina, in Hishlapshus. And this is what occurs at this point, that the Oyer Ho'atzilus is mislabish in the parsa. Mislabish means it becomes part and parcel of it. It completely unites with it, and thus becoming at its level, assuming its qualities, its nature, like we in the mashal of Chayz HaNefesh. Chayes HaNefesh is mislabish in the guf, and the koyach hachtnua, for example. Seichel, we don't know, we can't see the brain. But the koyach hachtnua, the koyach of movement, the koyach the koyach that we have in our hands to be able to write and to play music and to throw a ball and to do all kinds of different things, really phenomenal versatility. This is a koyach hatnu that comes from the nefesh. At this point, even though it's extremely versatile, but all of its abilities are goof related. There's not a purely nefesh element. The nefesh is mechayah the guf, and then it gets mislabish and becomes at the level of the guf. The truth is that even the brain, which is the most sensitive, where you have chokhmah and bina, there too, as much as chokhmah is pure, it is not the purity of the nefesh. It cannot perceive, conceptualize things, as we discussed many times, that do not have a hold in Mokim Uzman. There has to be some world Keli related element. This is his slapshus. Now we go further. I'm talking about the effect of the tzimtzum.
Can I just ask a quick question on the Hislapshus?
Yeah.
That it says, we spoke about before, you spoke about the idea that the Hislapshus says is Hislapshus mahus, that even though that the nefesh is mislabish in the goof, and everything, all of its effects are goof oriented, but it's still giving chayas. It's still but at the same time it says that the inyan of the pars is akava, and that the akava is the after the pars is called er shel tulda shu muhus acher. So if it's not just muhus, but it's muhus acher, so what is it? Which one is it?
It's mislabish. The muhus is mislabish, but when as a result of the hislapshus, it ultimately it becomes like a mahus acher. As we said, the nefesh is mislabish in your hand and brings the hand to life, and not only plain life, but all the various talents that capabilities that come in the hand. This is all nefesh elements. At what level is it? At the hand level or the nefesh level?
The Tanua seems to be at the hand level.
The Tanua, everything. Not only the Tanua, everything that the hand is able to do, to write.
Yeah, but doesn't the chayas itself remain something which is totally... It's not gufni. I mean, we can't.
There is an element which he's saying the whole time. That's where the
muscle doesn't meet up.
The confusion here, because he's saying that in every oil, in oil there is always an etzem element, which is not mislabish yikral. The whole thing of chayis is a miracle. We don't understand it. But the idea that's mislabish, and that we do get its benefits, that becomes transformed, even though there's no tzimtzum, but because of his lapshus, it becomes transformed.
And it's so complete to the extent that we say it's like a muhuzaka, that it's not.
Let's take on a human level. You have a sense of beauty. The sense of beauty in the nefesh is beauty of seichel, beauty of elokus, all kinds of beauty, yofi. It says that rochel hoise ipas tev ipas mare. Only a fool will say that Yankee fell in love with Rochel because she was beautiful, physically. Pasteur, Pasmara reflects the beauty of an neshama and the purity of the neshama. And this remained for all generations, for all time. This is the ikir of Yankov's mishpocha, of Yankov's life, even though he had 12 sons. And that's his life, that's his, so to speak, nation. Yankov Yosef. So, and yet, let's translate beauty as we experience it, as we slapshus. Yeah, if I stay with us, man. This is the beauty, this is the essence of the beauty. Or you decorate your home. This is where the aesthetics is expressed. Decoration of the home, that's the aesthetics of, the sense of aesthetics of the nefesh. Absolutely not. But this is the way you capture it in his slapshus in the Gashmis. So that a human being should be able to live with Gashmis, you translate this aesthetics on the Gashmis level. Otherwise, he couldn't even relate to it. But it's still Gashmi. Still, it transforms because of his slapshus. This is the point. The oil itself is the same oil. Because the sense of beauty, the sense of music, the sense of seichel, this is nefesh. This is not goof. But the way it expresses is in the Mahusafir. Everything is presented in one form. Form is the key, or another. Right. Again, we're starting Lagabi Hoishel Mame Apasa, that's in the middle of that section. This is the part of the Inyan HaTzimtzum. Then on the other hand, in the Inyan of the Tzimtzum. Hagam shezehu hefsek godel. But although that stands for a hefsek godel, for a huge interruption. Bebechinas hisamus ha'oir vehedor, to the extent of the level of the complete concealment of the oir, and all the way to the point of a ha'doroi, its absence. Absence means I don't know anything. Going back to the moshel that we gave for Tzimtzum, that a Rav wants to teach his Talmidim, a Rav, in true sense of the word, and he wants to transmit to them his seichel, where his seichel by him is a direct flow from his chokhmah and from his rotz and from his nefesh. He does not teach that which he has in a defined level. I know, so to speak, 2 times 2 equals to 4. He teaches from perspective of the essential seichel, and the essential seichel as it is rooted in its root in the rotz and the nefesh. But if he is going to start saying, don't you see this? Don't you understand this? That's not going to be teaching. In order to teach, even though he's still teaching the seichel, the pure seichel of the Rav, he wants to give him the whole thing. But he has to step down. And what is a step down? The step down is, at this point, he has to have a total step down, meaning he has to distract himself, dissociate himself from this seichel, as he already understands it, and put himself in a position where he does not understand anything. But of course, as the Rebbe says, he is in that madrega, so he can easily re-relate back to that madrega, because that's what he is. in essence. Seichel is not something that he knows. Seichel is something that he is. And therefore he can easily relate to that Seichel, that madriga. But then he draws it and and is able to see it from a position of not having. And this is how he's able to transmit it to the Talmud at his level. And Rav is going to teach children AyinBase, and he's going to tell them, you know what AyinBase is? AyinBase, you're going to be able to read every piece that you learn, every piece that you open the book. And the purpose of that is you're going to learn all of these tremendous seichel and tremendous all kinds of different things. Children are going to get lost. They have to be focused on one thing. I'm learning Kometz Aleph. But what's Kometz Aleph? At their level, this is a tremendous accomplishment. You know, these days they learn AyinBase using blocks and using all kinds of different jigsaw puzzles. It's all mamash trivial things and gashmazing things. But and he has to learn it that way. But the Rav, as he's teaching, the chayas that he has behind it is not the chayas of the AyinBase. The Rav is not playing jigsaw puzzle. The Rav is teaching AyinBase of the entire Torah. But he had stepped down.
But does that mean that the Rav is like forgetting the whole Israel? Because we said that the Rav has to put his position that he doesn't have the cycle.
You have to do it again.
He's asking if the Rav has to forget
I'm
everything.
trying to understand. It was said that the Rav has to put in his position in Hadora that he doesn't have it at all, and relate from their position. So I'm asking in the Muslim, the Rav who is learning the Talmud and Israel, Kometz Aleph, is he like forgetting the whole Israel? He only knows what Kometz Aleph is.
He does not forget Kometz Aleph. The Kometz Aleph that he retains, this is like the Rishimo, which is totally without any oil, without any chayes, without any seichel. That he retains. But this is not the impetus. This is not the chayes of what he teaches and how he teaches. But okay, so let's go back. So the tzimtzum is where he has to have segod. His samus ha'oyer b'hadorei. The reshima remains. The mitzias remains, but samus ha'oyer b'hadorei. Absence of oyer. It's an interesting that I didn't think of it before. I thought of it many times to myself. It's one of from Baal Shem. Baal Shem says, when it says in Pirkei Avos, that David Melech Yisrael shelo lomed me'achis seifel el shnei dvorim bilvad. Mishnah says that the person learns from his chaver one posuk, one thing. He has to be kroved. He has to show him respect. And where do we learn it from? From David HaMelech. David Melech Yisrael learned from Achis Seifel. Shnei dvorim. He learned from him two things. And as a result of this fact that he learned from him two things, Kroy Rabbi Alufim Yudoi. This is in Tehillim. So the Baal Shem Tov emphasized and said, what is the expression in Mishnah? What is the bilvad? add to this presentation. So explained, because in Bichlal, in Seichel, and in Divrei Torah, you learn one thing. This is just like an opener to more things. Nothing is bilvad. You learn this thing, and this leads you to something else, and it leads you to something else. Achisofel, we know, Achisofel's Torah was not proper. I don't know if you know the story of Achisofel. Achisofel was a genius, a great, but the pale, he committed suicide. So he was, his Torah was not pure in Kedusha. And if it's not in Kedusha, then everything is detached from everything else. It's not one in Bilvat. He taught him the AyinBase. He didn't teach him the Torah through the AyinBase. For example. Okay. So this is the Pshat Tzimtzum. And this is necessary, as we pointed out, because otherwise there's no way that he can teach it to the Talmud. Why? Because we are speaking at this level where the oil has not yet been, so to speak, tapered, has not been focused and identified in Mitzias. Like in Atzilus versus Bria. Atzilus has 10 spheres. There is kindness and goodness. There is things to identify. Even socially, if they had symptoms, there's nothing to identify. And therefore, from there you cannot be mislabish in the symptom and bring out just any seichel. In order to mislabish in lamata. So in order to facilitate that, there has to be a total tzimtzum. And now you identified the tzimtzum, identified the rishima, and the tzimtzum identified the mitzias in the seichel, in the Ayin. And this is how you're able to be mashpia. Totally removed. Shnei dvorim bilvad. It has to be bilvad for a moment. But that is not the union that you're teaching, ultimately. Mikomokim, but still, hari hagilu yachar kach. But then the gilu that follows, harei ze alidei shechoizer u'moyer. The gilu that follows comes alidei, as a result and through the process. That choizer u'meir b'chinas kirov. That it's reintroduced again, and umeir, and it shines. It is not just he's giving him the mitzias of the rishima, or the mitzias of the dover belvad, the AyinBase. He's giving him the chosev oyer, the whole oyer that preceded. Why is he teaching? We mentioned it many times. What's behind it? This is what's motivating the hashpah. And this Chosev Meir is bibchinas kiruv, is in a kiruv manner. Loi bibchinas hakovo, not in the hakovo manner as we discussed by Parsa. Okay, and here we have a clear contrast. B'chinas kiruv, loi b'chinas hakovo. Hakovo we just now discussed. Hakovo the pshat that you focus in on the mitzius, and you find in the mitzius the various means how you can present the in, but it's essentially in the mitzius. There is nothing that is devoid of Metzius. There is not even a sense of that devoid of Metzius. Bechinas Kiruv, what does Kiruv mean? Kiruv means that the source is forcing itself, forcing the Inyan out in a closeness, like we explained in terms of Rav and Talmud. The Rav is teaching the Talmud AyinBase. The Talmud never doesn't know AyinBase. So he's teaching him AyinBase. What is the motivation factor? What is the inspiration behind the Rav teaching him AyinBase? Is it the fact that the Talmud is never an ignoramus and I have Rachmanis and teach him AyinBase? So he should know something? Or is it that the Rav recognizes in the AyinBase the whole inyan of the whole richness of Seichel and of Torah? And he brings it to the Talmud and says, I want to teach you Torah. Doesn't mean teach you AyinBase. I don't want to teach you what you don't know. I want to teach you what I know. That's what the reason. That's the motivation behind teaching. He comes to it. I'm teaching you what you don't know. It's a completely different attitude. A completely different presentation. Different way.
But what I don't understand is if we're contrasting this Indian of a kava and this of the tzimtzum. So when we spoke about the mashal of the nefesh, the way it's mislavish the goof, it seems fair to say that the nefesh is not interested in a particular koyach of tenuah. The nefesh wants to give chayas to the goof. It wants to give. It doesn't. You know what I'm saying? It's not in terms of giving something which it's lacking. It wants to give over the very essence of chayas to the goof. So in that way, it seems to be similar to more of a tzimtzum. And when we speak about the union of tzimtzum, the which is chayzer umayr, through the rishimu, it has a very, it does take on, it seems like it takes on an aspect of a kavah, because it's coming back in terms of a kav. It's coming back in a limited, it's the etzema but it's focused, which is categorically different from the way it was before.
So each one that you described is not correct. The nefesh does not want. No, that's the point. The nefesh does not want to give the nefesh to the nefesh and guf are connected almost inadvertently. The nefesh doesn't want to be in the guf. Why should I deal with the guf? It's being forced to do that. To do what? To give the goof its little portion. The Baal Korcha had a chai. That's the nefesh, mitzad the nefesh. And there it's mislabish, and it gives the goof, but the goof needs what the goof is able to take. It's not bibchinas kiru, and we can even correlate it to the order in which it was created. The goof was formed first. Then Ba'iva Be'apav Nishmas Chai. I have a goylem over here. Let's give him something. Essentially. The goof is not created from the nefesh. It's a separate creation. Whereas by the tzimtzum, the entire everything that follows the tzimtzum is from the oil itself. There is not a goof. There's no, in truth, there is no Eretz V'Kelim. The Kelim are inherent in the oil. There's no Eretz V'Kelim. Atzilus there is Eretz V'Kelim. That's why Metzias.
What about the fact that after the Rishim of the air comes out in a way of Medida Vagbala, comes out through the Kav, which seems to be an Inyan of Akava,
No, it's not Misaki. It brings Derakilu. It brings itself. But because there was a Tzimtzum, that's what I point out, the Tzimtzum is almost subtle. The whole Inyan of the Tzimtzum, it's profound if you think about it. But if you speak about it, so to speak, on the simple terms, it seems you're giving back the same thing that you had before. What's the difference? The difference is that before there was the Inyan that this oil represents the Etzem, represents the reality itself. It's not Nimshach. It doesn't come from any place. It's there because it's true. Now it comes through the Tzimtzum. It's Nimshach. It comes from one place to another place. The Inyan that it comes from one place and to this other place, and the other place is a place where there's a sense that lacking. There is no oil. But now the oil comes. So now this oil that comes, even though everything's from the oil, but this oil that comes can be identified from a perspective of non-presence. Whereas Ein Sof cannot be identified from the perspective of non-presence. Like you said many times, right? Presence, they need that presence precedes non-presence. This is a godly element. That's not word.
A godly what?
Element, a godly level. It's not world. World can't relate to that. And this is why the Oish Lifnei HaTzimtzum has no shachas to world. In essence, it doesn't have a worldly definition, relationship. After the Tzimtzum, it can relate to world. In what way? It's the same oil. The fact that, but you weren't here before. How much this oil can be present and not present. And therefore I can identify it from a perspective of Mitzias. What is it that becomes present now? All right, this is it for this morning. I think I overstayed a few minutes. Have a good day. To be continued in this show.